Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. Ukraine faces simultaneous crises on multiple fronts. The possible indirect effect of escalating Iranian attacks in the Gulf, disruptions to the Juba oil pipeline, and Russian strikes on logistics. Joining us to analyse the implications is Bohdan Nahaylo. He's editor-in-chief of the Kyiv Post. Bohdan, welcome back to TVP World. Thanks for taking the time. So,
always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you back. So, all kinds of madness going on in the Gulf at the moment. Your view on the situation as it stands right now.
Okay, briefly, look, for Ukraine, it seems to be a distraction. It takes away international attention from Ukraine and its war with Russia, and of course any semblance of a peace process. So it's very much on the back burner. But when I say back burner, I mean literally Russian drones and missiles are attacking every day. And the danger for Ukraine is that when the US and to some extent Europe are preoccupied with the Middle East crisis, let's call it that, the supply of weapons, anti-missile, anti-drone weapons will be drying up. Even Trump has said that they may be short themselves of weapons in the US. So for Ukraine, this is a problem in the next week or two or three. Oil prices have shot up, so it means temporarily Russia will gain from this. But if Iran is decisively, or rather the Islamic regime is decisively crushed, then it will lose a close ally and a supplier of drones. So, there are kind of mixed impressions. There are fears, but there are hopes that if there is a victory, and as it looks like that the military capacity of the Iranians will indeed be crushed, then that Ukraine might come out stronger than before.
Understood. Now, in terms of the ability of Europe to step into the gap, if you like, that may be left by the distraction of the United States towards Iran, what are European countries doing? What should they be doing to continue consistent support to Ukraine?
They're doing quite a bit, surprisingly and admirably. The German Chancellor was in Washington yesterday, and he spoke up on Ukraine's behalf, and he emphasized the point that for Europe, obviously what's happening in the Middle East has repercussions and implications, but Ukraine remains a major source of concern. So that's very good. Macron hasn't let the side down. The British haven't let the side down. The Poles and other allies and friends are also speaking up. So I think that we have to weather this storm. We have to see how the dust settles. And even if after this the US under Trump decides that its next priority could be, say, Cuba or whatever else it might be, this whole experience has once again galvanized and I think united Europe around the need to maintain support for Ukraine and perhaps even to step it up. I think,
now,
what's important...
Sorry to interrupt you there, Bohdan. We are a bit short of time. And I do want to ask you one more question before we have to end. And that's about the Juba pipeline that passes through Ukraine and supplies Hungary and Slovakia. It comes from Russia. And there's a break in supplies there. And Slovakia is threatening to cut electricity supplies to Ukraine. What can you tell us about that?
I don't think it's as drastic as it sounds. But look, for Ukraine, the strategic objective is to cut off Russia from Europe and from its friends, supporters, Hungary and Slovakia. And despite these threats from Slovakia, Ukraine has other means to get around this. It has, a reliable partner in Poland, in Romania, for instance, and perhaps others. So I don't think Ukraine is particularly perturbed about this. I think it's also sending a strong signal to Orbán and to Fico that, look, back off. You want to back Russia, so live with the consequences.
Indeed, perhaps wise advice. Bohdan Nahaylo, as always, thank you so much for sharing your analysis with our audience. Have a good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Bye. And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Goodbye.